Welcome to The Explainer. I'm so glad you're here today because, wow, we are going to unpack something I can almost guarantee you've dealt with. We're going to master the mechanics of a really common, honestly super frustrating debate tactic. If you've ever felt completely derailed during a conversation and just couldn't quite figure out how the other person managed to completely flip the script on you, well, you're in the right place. We're going to decode the matrix of everyday arguments, breaking down exactly how this conversational trap works, why our brains fall for it, and most importantly, how to spot it from a mile away. So, I want you to think back to your last heated discussion. Have you ever been passionately making a perfectly valid point? Maybe it's about the environment or personal finance or, I don't know, even just household chores. And suddenly, the person you're talking to points out that you don't perfectly practice what you preach. Boom, right? The argument just completely stops being about your point, and suddenly you are on trial for your own behavior. You're called a hypocrite. It's totally maddening, isn't it? It feels like they just threw a smoke bomb into the room. And the thing is, this happens everywhere. In boardrooms, on social media threads, right at the family dinner table. You bring up a legitimate issue, and instead of actually engaging with what you said, the other person just weaponizes your own flaws against you. Well, there's an actual name for this exact smoke bomb, and understanding it is absolutely your best line of defense. Section 1. The You Too Fallacy. You are like that too. All right, so the formal term for this is tu quoque, which is actually Latin for you too. It's the classic appeal to hypocrisy. Basically, it's a logical fallacy that attempts to discredit an opponent's position by asserting their failure to act consistently with that very position. And if you read internet comments, you see this literally everywhere. Let's say someone posts this impassioned article saying, hey, we need to severely reduce our daily screen time for our mental health. The top comment is inevitably going to be something like, you posted this from an iPhone. Or, think about a climate activist criticizing fossil fuel consumption only to get hit with a chorus of, but you flew on an airplane to get to this conference. Notice what's happening. In those moments, the tactic is purely a deflection tool. Instead of engaging with the difficult truth of the argument, like, hey, maybe screen time actually is bad, or fossil fuel dependency is a real global issue, the opponent attacks the messenger. They instinctively hold up a mirror to your flaws so they don't have to look at their own. It's an incredibly effective evasion tactic, mostly because it preys on our natural desire for fairness and consistency, and boom, it instantly puts you on the defensive. You stop arguing the facts and you start defending your personal character. The conversation is totally hijacked. But why do we do this to each other? Well, psychologically, when we're confronted with information that implies we're doing something wrong, we experience a heavy dose of cognitive dissonance. Deflecting the blame back onto the accuser is just a fast, cheap way for our brains to relieve that discomfort and balance the moral ledger without actually having to do the hard work of changing our behavior. Section 2. Hypocrisy Fallacy. Are you like that too? So this perfectly illustrates the cognitive dissonance happening in these moments. Think about the objective argument on one side versus the personal deflection on the other. Here's the absolutely crucial point. A person's hypocrisy on the deflection side does not automatically invalidate the objective truth of their underlying argument. Let's think of a doctor. A doctor who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, sitting you down in an exam room and telling you, look, smoking is terrible for your health and will cause lung cancer. Now, the doctor is undeniably an absolute hypocrite, right? The personal deflection is completely valid in a vacuum. They definitely don't act consistently with their own medical advice. But does that make the objective argument false? Does the tar in the lungs just magically disappear? Are cigarettes suddenly good for you just because the messenger happens to have a severe nicotine addiction? Absolutely not. Or imagine a friend who is notoriously perpetually late to everything, telling you that punctuality is going to be crucial for your upcoming job interview. Like, sure, they're a hypocrite, yes, but their advice is still incredibly sound. The truth of a statement is entirely independent of the moral purity or behavioral consistency of the person saying it. When someone uses the you too fallacy at you, they're really just trying to trick you into confusing the objective truth with their personal deflection. They want to merge the two sides, so that if they can prove you are flawed, they can pretend your argument is flawed too. Recognizing this separation definitely requires a bit of intellectual maturity, but once you see it, you completely take the power back in any debate. The very next time it happens, you can just simply say, hey, my personal behavior isn't the topic right now. Let's get back to the facts of the argument we were actually discussing. Section 3. Engagement break. Support the channel. Okay, yes, we are leaning fully into the internet culture vibes right now. If you're enjoying this explainer and finding these breakdowns helpful for your own debates, let's do a quick rapid-fire sequence. Step 1, hit that like button. Step 2, drop a comment below. Seriously, tell me the most ridiculous time someone used the U2 fallacy on you. And step 3, subscribe so you never miss another deep dive. I'm telling you to do this, and guess what? I do it on other channels too, so there is zero hypocrisy here, I promise. Section 4. Next up, bulverism, a new fallacy. So we've just seen how the U2 fallacy attacks your behavior. But what happens when the debate bypasses logic entirely to attack your very existence? Enter bulverism. Bulverism is the fallacy of assuming someone is wrong and then explaining their error based purely on their identity. The person using this tactic isn't asking if you are wrong, they're simply telling you who you are. This term was actually coined by the writer C.S. Lewis, and man, it represents a massive toxic escalation in debate manipulation. Just imagine presenting a carefully researched, data-driven proposal at work, right? And a senior colleague just dismisses it entirely by saying, well, you're only suggesting that because you're young and want to avoid doing things the traditional way. Or think about other common variations we hear all the time. You only believe that because you're wealthy. Or you're just saying that because of your background. Notice how incredibly insidious this is? It assumes your argument is already false without offering a single shred of proof, and then immediately pivots to psychoanalyzing your motives based on your demographics or your profession or your upbringing. It entirely bypasses the rigorous work of actually evaluating the evidence you brought to the table. Honestly, this is the ultimate conversational poison, because it makes productive dialogue completely impossible. I mean, you cannot logically debate someone who has decided ahead of time that your very identity makes you wrong. It shuts down critical thinking entirely and just replaces it with pure prejudice. We are going to tear this concept apart, looking at exactly how it infiltrates everything from our personal relationships to our media landscape in our next explainer. So I want you to really think about that. If your argument is dismissed strictly because of who you are, was the debate ever really about logic in the first place?